Let me go back to this. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that and you can see why it's important to include everybody and have a great community. Uh, we're going to just jump right in. This one is about the Hows and Whys. We're going to talk a little bit about why classroom management is important. And then we're going to just, the next two modules kind of really tie nicely hand in hand in terms of, especially now that you started your school year, I'm sure a lot of you did a lot of community building for your class, trying to get to know everybody and get everybody else to know each other as well. So we're going to be focusing a lot on that. Okay. So what I want you to do is just in the chat, can you tell me your thoughts about why you think, again, why classroom management, the whole thought of um, how you build, oh, sorry. Why is classroom management important? So I know we kind of talked about this in our overview module, but if you can just again put in the chat why you think classroom management is important, that'd be great. Or if you want to just share out, that's okay too. I'll leave it up to you. But can everybody just put in their thoughts? Thanks. Students learn better when the classroom is under control and well managed. It's about creating relationships. It creates growth mentally, emotionally, and academically, for sure. Without it, it's hard for students to learn and feel safe. Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? It helps to keep the class in order and set expectations. And it's interesting. One of my first, when I was doing my student teaching, they said one of the things that I remember from one of my teachers was they had told me, they said students need that order. They do want that order and they want to know what's expected of them. So that's for sure. Yeah, thank you. It keeps structure in the classroom, limits distractions. Yes, because that's how we know that learning is happening. Yep. Classroom management is important to create a comfortable learning environment. Yes. Help keep things all together. You got it, Alice. Creating a safe learning environment. Yep, Michelle Ashley. And let's see. It's important because learning happens because there's a sense of community and routines are consistent. When structures become automatic, they can truly focus on learning and inquiry. Yeah. Yeah, we can get rid of those behaviors so that learning can happen. You got it. Managing, let's see. Manage is defined as controlling and directing, so it provides a framework in the macro context which we place into a micro context individually, our own personality and our student school community. You got it. Students can be themselves. They can be their unique personalities. Setting expectations for students to create a safe learning environment builds positive relationships with teachers, students, and class. Wow, thank you guys. This is awesome. You're right. And the big ideas again, many of you mentioned it, but the big idea of why we do classroom management is to ensure that, yeah, that safety. We want everybody to feel safe, not only the students, but you as teachers as well. Okay? We want to note that safety isn't just about the physical, and I think some of you mentioned it in the chat, but yeah, it's also about that psychological safety as well. You want students to be able to take those risks. You want them to be able to, really expand and grow and have those conversations with each other. An effective teacher creates a positive classroom climate and is a great classroom manager. So that's what you guys are. Okay? Classroom management is all the things that a teacher does to organize. So we're going to be talking later on in other modules about space and time and certain materials, having all that ready so that students are ready to go. And then good classroom management practices, it's about giving students that time that they need. You got it. You got to give them that time to learn. Okay? When we talk about it, we always bring up the GLOs. I know our school still uses this. Do all the schools still really focus in hard on that GLO? Yeah, learning. Hopefully, our school we actually do a GLO report card. I think we're one of the very few, and that some of you guys do too. I'm not going to go over these because I know you probably know these by heart, but this is really important as well to establish a great classroom environment. Some also use the ha or the breath, and some schools focus in on this instead to use and to help students to be successful in the classroom. So, just a quick thought, and I want you guys just to kind of think about it. I'll ask maybe a few people to share out. But how do you think classroom management supports student success when we are talking about the GLOs or with HOF? And then the other question, how does classroom management support success when we're talking about the EES as well? Can I ask somebody just to maybe share your thoughts on how classroom management supports our student success? You want to put it in the chat, that's okay too. We love hearing voices though. You can just unmute.
I can share.
Oh, thank you.
Um, I feel classroom management as we try to create a place, a good learning environment, comfortable learning environment, safe learning environment. I think that has a lot to do with one of the Nahopino A'o, especially the one that is strengthening the sense of belonging. Um, as our students know that we want it to be a positive place, and for me, I want it to be a place where it is positive, a positive in a way where it's okay to make mistakes in here. Like this is where I want you to make mistakes, and for us to not to be like you made a mistake, but more like you made a mistake. So how do we like? How can we help our friend to correct the mistake? So that relationship of like that person belongs even when we make mistakes, not to just like exclude or you know what I mean that type of action happening. But I feel that's what a classroom management can do for our class.
Oh, well stated, Puale. Definitely. Yes, you got this. Great teacher speaking right there.
Yeah.
Somebody else want to share? How about the GLOs? Does anybody use GLOs and refer to those a lot when you're talking about supporting student success? I think everybody's still speaking to. Oh, thank you, Melinda. So Melinda put in the chat, the GLOs and HOF are the macro district-wide context, and it gives us the foundation for student behavior inside as well as outside of the classroom. In essence, being a good, responsible person. It must be reiterated often to become committed to memory. Yeah, it's that whole getting it into becoming a good habit, right? Definitely. And I'm glad you talked about how it's not only inside the classroom, but outside as well, because you're right. It's about making our students into great individuals in all settings. Yeah, definitely. And I want you to kind of remember this because in your final portfolio entry, you're going to be coming back to this whole thing because a lot of PD, what we want to do is we want to link it back to how individuals really grow and learn in the big macrocosm of our world. And you're definitely going to be reflecting back on how it links back to the GLOs and the HA. So this is actually kind of our little link to our final portfolio. I know all of us go through the EES right now, and it's great because it's our way of reflecting to see how well we're doing. But how do you think classroom management will support your success on that? Can anybody share out their thoughts on that? Maybe one person? especially if you're up for your EES this year. This is a great way. Classroom management definitely will help you link into your write-ups. Anybody want to talk about that? How it might help?
For the EES, I think classroom management definitely is something they look for during their classroom observations. Um, I don't recall exactly which one it is, if it's 2C. Correct me if I'm wrong, Christy. I don't know which one exactly, but I know
That's
it's
okay.
one of the areas is classroom management and ensuring that you have that rapport, the routines, the students. It's to automaticity, and just part of the culture of the classroom, and it's not something that teachers need to remind necessarily, but it's just like clockwork.
Thanks, Annalisa. I really appreciate that. Yes, definitely. When you have your um, principals and your assistant principals going in to observe you, they're looking for the interaction that's going on. They're seeing how your students respond. So all those kinds of things, they're trying to see if that's happening in your classroom. They're looking for that community building. So that's going to be really important as you write up your EES for that one portion. You got it. Okay. Did you know this is another one? We're not in person, so we weren't able to do this, but we just want you to be aware of some things that you can do. Normally, in an in-person environment, what we would do is we could give you 3 chips, and then once you share, I would take away one from Puale, I would take away one from Annalisa, and that way I can kind of keep track on who's sharing to make sure everybody has equity in the class and that we hear from everybody. Sometimes it's hard to keep track, so that's a strategy that you could use in the classroom. Okay. When we're talking about safe learning environments, I know in the beginning this is really fresh for you guys because we went through all this, but definitely these documents in your handbook, you want to go back to these too. That's going to also help to provide that safe learning environment. So you just want to make sure that your daily practice is also aligned to this. Okay? That's all we're really going to mention about. Okay. The next thing, for Module 2, you don't have a portfolio entry to turn in, but we do have, we did put in some templates that you can use. You can see that when you give certain worksheets to students, especially for students who are ELL or special ed, you can actually put little notes on your worksheets too to kind of help them out, to guide them. So what we did was we gave you a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We are going to talk about this a little bit because this is important in terms of how students progress on their needs. Okay, so if you want to use that template, you can. It is optional, but it is in your Module 2 activity. Okay. Okay, so what we want you to know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs is that in 1943, Abraham Maslow, he was a psychologist and he created this. It wasn't really a triangle here, but he created a hierarchy so that he could explain human motivation. Now, I know going through college, maybe your professors taught you about this, but this is just kind of your brief overview. According to Maslow, he said that each person has different needs, and then at different points in their life, they're going to progress to the next set. So one usually needs to satisfy the bottom level before they move up that hierarchy. So once those needs have been reasonably satisfied, you move yourself up to that whole self-actualization. Okay? So the psychological needs, those are the things that deal with just the basic things to survive. So we're talking about food, clothing, shelter, and it's those things that if you don't have, people just kind of cease to function or cease to be able to live. Okay, the next one is your safety and security. And that's where I think a lot of the kids right now, some kids right now, they still have those psychological needs, especially at like out of title schools. But once they have those needs met and they feel secure, they jump up to the next level. And on this one, a person feels that need that they know that they're safe in all aspects of their life. So they feel safe at school, at home, in their community. They're free from threats, and they know that they can feel really comfortable. Okay? I know with bullying right now, that one tends to be a little bit of an issue. So again, it's our jobs to really help to make our students feel safe. And then social needs. Social needs are the things where students start to gravitate toward different friends, different groups, to be able to feel like they belong, and they have commonalities with other people. This is really important because this is where um, you start seeing kids really interact, build those relationships, and then it kind of steers them away from that whole depression, feeling lonely, things like that. Okay. Now those three needs are referred to as the deficiency or basic needs, and they motivate people when they're not met. Okay. They make you let's see. Let's just talk about the next two. So the next two needs are growth. These are growth needs. So they're not because they lack something, but it's just a desire to make yourself stronger, to be able to grow as a person. So self-esteem, real easy. That's the one about feeling good about yourself, um, not having those feelings of helplessness and inferiority. Okay, and then self-actualization. That's when you know that you're going to be the best that you can be, and that's where we always strive to be. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to break you up into groups of about 3 or 4. And then what I want you to do is kind of go through these hierarchy of needs and just tell us, and I want you to discuss, what does it look like in your classroom? Where are most of your students right now? I know for the lower grades, it's going to be a little different than those that have high school or middle school. So talk about that. And then talk about things that you do in your classroom to address these things. Okay? So again, talk about where your class, where you think most of your students fall within here, or what areas you're at, and then how do you address some of these needs? Okay, Shannon, are we ready for those breakout rooms? Yes. Hopefully you have that link. Go ahead and join your breakout room. We'll give you maybe 5 minutes. Okay, thanks.
And again, if you did not receive an invite, you are staying in the main room. And remember, the main room is being recorded so that those who are absent have discussions to watch.
How's it going?
Hi.
Hey.
Hey guys.
Hello.
So I think my students are between like the yellow one, belongingness and love needs, down to the bottom one. They definitely can't learn when they're hungry, and especially when it falls before lunch. And right before lunch, I also feel like I have a hard time teaching because I'm starving. And then I say this yellow one because they're really into being with their friends right now, especially since like all the restrictions have loosened and they can hang out more in the classrooms with their friends without us trying to separate them. It's been quite interesting with all the groupings that I have this year, and it's like, okay, you guys are all friends. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. It's definitely really cool to see after the last couple years, just the friendships that have come about because they're so excited to be back at school. They're so excited to be around each other and talking and learning from each other.
Yeah, I teach high school, and my subject is music, so I teach chorus. And I would say my students are probably also around that third level, like the love and belonging. But once they establish their relationships, then they go more into the esteem area, like respect, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. I have a couple girls right now that are like they have crushes on boys in my class. They're like, really interested in the opposite sex and whatever. And then I have a few that get into the top level because it's high school and, they're looking toward their future. They want to, they have plans after high school. So, yeah.
I would say I'm actually a school counselor at an elementary school. So it was funny. My philosophy was tied in very much with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But a lot of times at my school, where I'm on a military base, so their safety needs are being met, and they often come to school really needing that love and belonging, and trying to move up into those. So that's my role a lot, is I'm supporting the love and belonging and then working with them to get higher up. Because usually, I mean, we do have some, of course, I'm sure all of you that come to school hungry or have a rough home situation, but the majority are at that love and belonging and needing that.
Amanda, I like how you said that when they get to high school, they move more towards like that self-actualization, because I teach middle school and they are far from it. Like they are just all about the now. Like, what do I need now? And my friends now. And I'm just like, okay, think about the future, you guys, like what do you need to be successful? And they just quite don't get it yet. Don't quite get it yet. So
Yeah. I feel like it takes a lot of maturity because I noticed a change in a lot of them. For like last year, I had 20 something seniors, and majority of them I had since their freshman year. So I noticed a huge change from when they came in, toward like the middle bottom. And then they just over time mature and, they become more committed. And then of course, you have the few of them that get senioritis and they're just like, I'm done with school already. But, for a good chunk of them, they really do care. And so it's good, yeah, to build the relationship with them over the years. So, yeah. I'm really blessed I have 4 years with a lot of them. So the time with them, it makes a big difference. They grow physically and they also grow like emotionally, socially, all of that.
it's funny because my school talks about looping every now and then, and I was like, no, we don't want to be with them for 3 years. Why would we do that? But that makes sense as to what you're saying. Like you can see them grow emotionally, physically, and get to know them and see how much they mature over the course that you have them. If my school ever does that, it would be really interesting.
What grade are you teaching?
I teach 8th grade. I was teaching 7th for a little bit, and now they placed me in 8th grade, which I don't know. I can't really tell too much of a difference because I don't know. I guess because I didn't know the students the year before that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. I think it depends on the year too, because like when COVID hit, kids were so quiet. And then, yeah, and it just depends because like the year that 2019 to 2020 year, my freshman class was really loud and kind of obnoxious and just, not a good mix of kids. And then thank God that we did the online, but then after the online, my kids became really quiet and getting them to speak in class was hard. But now it's more back to normal.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Last year, oh, it was a struggle. I had this one class that it was like a class of almost 30 and nobody wanted to speak. And then I would hear them outside in the hallways or whatever, and they're just like laughing up a storm. I'm like, so you can speak because do you know how to speak? But eventually they learn how to speak. This year we just implemented this new curriculum where they have to speak. So I'm teaching them, okay, we have to have conversations in this class. So kind of getting it back to like how it was pre-pandemic and all the laughter that we can have in our classrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I noticed the students that I had pre-pandemic, when we got back to school, it was a normal environment, like the kids would talk, but the ones that I only got to know during the pandemic, it was really awkward. Getting them to get involved with class discussions. It's like, yeah, crickets.
Yeah. Yeah, they were so afraid to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, here I am talking and my mic is off. Okay. If somebody could, I'm just going to have one person from each of the rooms just share out. You can just share out your grade and what you do to address one of these areas. That would be great. So I'm going to just start with the main room. Would somebody mind sharing out? Okay, remember, we warned you, this is an interactive class.
So I can go.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we talked in my group. We talked about the hierarchy, and we talked about how as it ascends, as it gets higher, it's actually harder to achieve. So not everybody will reach that self-actualization stage in life, but we hope everybody would get there, including ourselves. And then we just talked about how well, I'm a high school teacher, so most of my students are kind of in the social need category in the middle, because they all want to fit in and they all want to find their identity. And I also just share that it's SEL is something that my group, we talked about that our schools are working on to trying to make the students feel like they belong, and then just trying to work with them to kind of build the relationship, so hopefully we can steer them on the right path in life and they'll be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Well stated. And you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot to mention it. There are people who go through life and they don't need that. They might not ever get to that top pinnacle. You're right. You're exactly right. Okay. My group, my breakout one. Is there somebody from breakout one? Wouldn't mind sharing?
I don't know if I was in breakout when I didn't pay attention to that, but I'll go ahead and share for my group. I teach special education language arts for 7th graders. And last year I actually had a 6th grade homeroom. And one thing that I was leaving the conversation before we got swapped over is that there is a very interesting difference between my special education students and where they are at on this hierarchy than my mainstream 6th grade homeroom students were last year. With my special education students, I really have to look at the physiological and safety needs, and my mainstream students were on higher levels of the hierarchy. And I found in middle school that we really range between the safety needs, love and belonging, and esteem. And Maslow is one of my heroes in life. I actually wrote about him in my philosophy paper. But in our group, we talked a lot about those safety needs. We had a kindergarten teacher, and she's like, yeah, we used scissors the other day. I thought we had everything squared away, but we didn't. And another teacher talked about a child on the spectrum who has an EA who is constantly kind of disrupting and shaking up class, and students are reporting to parents that they would prefer not to sit by him in class because of behaviors. So, you know, it's just coming into the classroom with the set of mind that a student might be on a particular level, a particular day, and if you throw something at them that they're not quite ready for, they might drop down a level or they might bump up a level too. It's pretty fluid.
Wow, thanks, Melinda. Well stated, definitely. And it is hard sometimes, yeah, to juggle the different needs in the classroom. You really have to just be very just flexible. Yeah, thanks for that. How about breakout 2? And if you're not sure, you can be like Melinda and just share out, and that's fine. We have 2 more groups. Breakout 2, anybody?
I'll share. I don't know what group I was in, but we had a conversation about like the differences between elementary school, middle school, and high school. Like the teacher that was in high school, she saw the students more like up on, they were able to reach like the esteem and getting up to maybe self-actualization, versus I'm in middle school, and right now a lot of them are like the love and belonging. A lot of them also come in very hungry, so they can't move up until they actually eat something. And then we had a counselor in there that said that it also is a lot of like the love and belonging. And that's what their focus is, especially now after COVID and the loosened restrictions, that they all just want a sense of being belonged by their friends and their peers. So that's what we talked about.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ashley. Okay, did anybody else want to share? There was one more breakout room. Okay, it seems like you guys are ready to go on. Oh yeah. Who's going to talk? Jamie, was that you?
I was just going to say we took a different approach to the conversation, and we spent some time talking story, and then compared it with the fact that you do that with your kids and they can build from the bottom up. And as we just were talking, we just had more and more to say, and we're able to just connect and bring it back to this conversation and how important it is to build those relationships and give them the things they need to be able to feel comfortable bringing in their own discussion with the content.
That's so true. Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, all of you, for sharing. Okay, we're going to move on. The note-taking, again, I kind of talked about the note-taking sheet and how you can use it to kind of tweak, help other different types of learners if need be. I know sometimes you have kids that are good on the computer, some who are better paper pencil people. So again, you tweak how you need to help your students out. Okay, so creating a community of learners, again, as stated, it's important to just give students that sense of belonging, that they really fit in and they are a part of the group. Even if they're unique and different, it's okay. And then just so you know, and I know as we're going through these first couple weeks of school, it's nice because this is really when we start doing the getting to know you with your students. And that's such an important first step. You got to build those relationships so that you can build that trust in that classroom. Yeah. Okay. Another did you know that we've done in the past, we just want to share the strategies you can use. This one, getting to know you. Students, you can tell them without talking, line up by birth date. Works great as a signal. You can do others, getting people to getting your class organized and just to get ready to learn. Okay. So these are all, again, in the did you know. I think this one, oh no, this is just a strategy that you can use. It is a did you know, though, also. It's just a way to help students get to know each other. Okay. Now this module was all about having different strategies. In the past, we had everybody share different getting to know you strategies. But we thought, since this is more of an online, we're going to give you some examples of things, and then we're going to have you talk out and share some things that you've done. Okay. For this one, this is a getting to know you that I've done in my class when we were online, where it was really hard during that COVID time because we weren't face to face. But I just had simple instructions where they had to create a slide. From there, students were able to comment on the slides so that they could get to know other people and see what was on their slide. So this is an example of something that I created for my students. And what I did was I just created a bunch of blank slides, and they had to add theirs to that. And then we could just learn about each other. We could kind of peruse it when we wanted to. Just, yeah, something to get to know each other. Another idea is a virtual locker idea. So in here, I think we gave you links to this as well. But students, and this may be for high school too, maybe a little bit more relevant, where you can just put your likes and your interests in your digital locker. Now we're going to do something in class. This is our virtual community building activity, since I know some of you guys know each other, but some of you don't. But this is an idea you could also use in your class as well. But what this is it's a virtual community building activity. This one is done on a Padlet. And it's kind of nice because these Padlets have real inspirational kind of things that kind of click on and link on it. But what I'm going to do is I want you to, let's see if I can copy this link. Shannon, is it possible for you to copy this link and put it in the chat? And what I want you to do is you're going to click on this Padlet, and there's a question there for you. It says, share a memorable experience that you've had as a teacher. Now, it can be any experience, something positive that happened, maybe a wow that got you excited and wanting to teach. But this is going to be our getting to know you for this class. So if you can, we're going to have you go in there. We'll give you a little bit of break time as well. So you're going to go in there. You're going to post up your own Padlet. If you can just kind of put your name too, just at the top, and then just share your memorable experience. It could be something where you had a great experience, something where a student did something that was memorable for you. And then as you put yours in afterward, if you can, just go through and read some of the other ones. You can put a star, you can comment. Yeah, and this is going to be our virtual community building activity. I believe to add your own, let's see if I can get there.
Give me a minute. I'm pulling it up right now. Sorry, I tried typing it over, but my eyes weren't working.
That's okay. Here, I think I got this. All right. Can you guys see this Padlet here? Is it showing up? So in here, you're going to click on the little red box in that little plus sign on the bottom. And from there, you can just share. It should let you just talk and then just write something memorable, if you can post it there. In the meantime, we'll give you about maybe 10 minutes to do this. And at that time, if you can, again, if you finish early, just go take a quick break if you need one. And then we're going to finish up on this and then jump right into our, hopefully just finish up on this and then jump right into our module 3. So this is kind of your built-in break right now. Any questions on what you need to do? Everybody okay?
And the link is now posted in the chat box.
Oh, thanks, Shannon.
Ashley O, I know I typed this earlier in the chat box and you might have responded, and my apologies, but I lost it in the stream. Could you type in your, when you come back, could you let me know your grade and content level you teach, please? Thank you, Jamie. And Ashley O as well. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Ashley. Greatly appreciate it.
We'll be coming back at about 10:53. Okay, it's 10:53. All right, so let's go back to our dashboard. And nice. Hopefully you were able to look through some of these stories. You know, I just love doing this activity because it's so much fun to read. Because a lot of times we share what we do in our class, but we don't get to share all the great things that, um, you know, that happened to us as teachers. So thank you guys for putting your posts. Okay. Let me share my screen again. All right. Okay. So, here we go. All right. So normally what we would do in the past is I would have you guys share one of your getting to know you activities that you do in your classroom. So what I want to do is we're going to put you back in groups. This is the last activity for this, but this is a great way for us to share ideas with each other because sometimes you might come across somebody's idea of a getting to know you and you're like, wow, that's really cool. I'm going to try do that next time, or I'm going to try do that with my class. We're still at the beginning of the school year, so there's always time. And actually doing getting to know you activities, doing it throughout, just to build that community. Again, awesome. So what I'm going to do is I kind of thought of a different idea. You guys tell me if you want to do this instead, so you kind of have a bank of these ideas. Because you're so good at Padlet now, I can have you guys, and I kind of created a Padlet if you want to share a getting to know you activity on the Padlet. That way we won't put you in the group, and I'll give you maybe about just maybe 5 minutes to post something. Would you guys be okay with that? And then that way you can just kind of read others' ideas and you can kind of go back to it. Might be kind of nice. Is that okay? I see yes, you like that? Okay, so let me share you another, I'm going to share another Padlet with you. Let me see if this works. All right. Yeah, since you're now Padlet experts, and Padlets, I tell you, they're so easy to do. Um, Again, you can see that some of these things, you can turn off names so that it posts anonymously. So it's just a fun way so people can kind of see what other people are thinking. There's so many different ways and now new apps to do this. Okay, so I'll give you till 11:01, 5 minutes, and let's see how well you guys do. If you need more time, we can do that. But if you can, go ahead and put your getting to know you activity on that board. And again, this is something that you do, that you've done with your group. If you have a really cool idea, share it with the rest of us. Wow, thank you guys for posting your ideas. And what I'll do is I'll put this link in the Module 2 activities. So those of you that aren't watching this right now, you'll have the links to the Padlets so that you'll be able to share your ideas as well. And you can use this as a resource later on if you think throughout the year of some ideas you want to come back to this Padlet, you can look and see some of the ideas that the other classmates shared. Thank you guys. Sounds like there's some really neat activities on this Padlet. Thank you. Okay, now to finish this module, well, I should give you guys voice. Did anybody want to share their idea? Otherwise, I'll just kind of keep going. Okay, I'll just let you guys peruse these when you have a chance and get some ideas from there. Okay, let me go back to our slides. We're almost done with this module. In your resources for the professional reading and resources, you'll find in Module 2 that there's a lot of different types of getting to know you activities that we're giving you some templates of. Feel free to just use them, copy, share. That's fine. Okay. And then I've also included on the slides some other links to some different classroom building activities. I know there's tons out there, so just have fun with them. And that takes us to the end of Module 2. If you guys are okay, I'm just going to jump right into Module 3. You guys feeling okay? Let's get this moving, right? Okay. Let me just jump to